week. And I also host office hours every Monday from 6:30 to 8:30, except for today, because we're doing this project with you all. So yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna check Facebook just in case we have people there that wants to join us, and I want to have the chat open as well. So I just want to make sure that everyone has access to the audio, which I did. And the other thing I want to make sure is that if you have a question during our session or workshop, just please raise your hand, and then we're gonna try to let you talk or answer your questions as we can. You can also put it in the chat, the questions you have, or in the Q&A. But please raise your hand so we can get to everyone. Any questions so far? Okay, I guess no questions is good. All right, so how many of you have the kits? Just to make sure, like, if we're gonna be doing this all together, or you wanna just see how it works and then maybe pick up a kit or buy the stuff later on. If you can just put it in the chat or raise your hand or just open the mic and tell us you have the kit. I know Marianne has it. Okay, awesome.
Okay, so at least 3 people have the kit, it sounds like.
Yes, and Laura raised her hand.
Yep. Oh yeah. So maybe Barbara, do you have a kit, or it's okay if you don't?
Okay, okay. All right, so we will help you to turn the light on if the soil is no moisture. Okay. All right, so I guess we can start.
Yeah,
okay.
So do you want to start with the links?
Yes, so I just want to say on the chat, I actually add the PDF of the instructions, just in case that you don't have them on paper, but also if you have them on paper, I will recommend to open this link, because from here you can just click on the link directly instead of copying and pasting or like trying to write the address on your own. So let me know if you have any troubles with the PDF, and we're gonna start from the beginning with all the stuff that we actually provided on the kit. So I give you 2 seconds or 2 seconds or few seconds to open the PDF. Let me know if you have it or if you have any trouble opening it. Okay, so I guess everyone has it. I'm just gonna go from the beginning on terms of the supplies that this kit have. So we provided, and I'm gonna kind of show you along the way. Let me see if I can make sure I'm on the big screen. Yes. Okay, so we provided a wooden box that was cut on the laser cutter that we have at the library. So if you're interested to do stuff like that, we have a laser cutter at the library, and you can learn how to use it. We provided another little bag with some shunting cables, and then a LED light and a resistor that we're gonna learn how to use it just in a second. All right, so we also provided a breadboard. Everything is mini, so it's so cute. We have an Arduino Nano that I have it in the box, but we're gonna open it together in a second. We have a sensor also in a closed package. And for the Arduino, we also have a USB cable. Please let me know if you're missing any of the items. I revise everything twice and 3 times as well, but if you're missing anything, just let me know. And I think we got to start. You're probably gonna need also on your own some scissors or X-Acto knife or like a space to work to put all this together. And a computer, of course. Questions? Okay. All right. We can go with the next part if you wanna go next page.
Sure, yeah. Okay, I'll go ahead and share my screen for this part, just so you can see what links I'm referring to. Can everyone see my instructions here that I have pulled up? Can you see these, Celeste? Okay, great.
Yes, I see everything.
Okay, good. So if you are looking at the instructions PDF, what I would want to do is scroll past the overview of the materials and stuff that Celeste kind of just went through, and you'll go to this first instruction. So the first instruction is going to ask you to go to this URL. So you'll go to this URL, and then there will be a download link here. So the download links are actually on the right-hand side. And it's going to differ for the type of computer that you have. So I have a Mac, so I'm going to download this release here. If you're on Windows, you're going to download these here. This is just a zip file, like a compressed file that you would then open. So it doesn't really matter which one of these, but maybe this one would be easier to download because it'll run immediately. I'm going to download this one for my computer. So go ahead and download it. I can choose to contribute. I will pass on that today. And then so it's going to download in the background. This might take a little while depending on your internet. So that's okay, because we can work on building Celeste's box in the meantime. So I'm just going to leave that up in the background. I'm going to even close the tab. Still working on downloading that. I hope that it downloads in time. We'll see. I think it should. So. Yeah. The next thing is.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
As user, you need something particular for this Arduino, for this device, the main board, this that comes in the box, to connect to your computer and for it to recognize the device successfully, you need what's called an additional driver. That's what this link is here. So you'll skip down to step 6 actually, to hopefully avoid the problem that we noted here. And I'm going to go ahead and open that in a new tab. And then it's going to point us to a file, specifically a driver file that you can download. And then you'll install this. You'll install this driver. So it's going to take you to a folder. I'm going to open the folder. There's a zip file for each sort of operating system. Again, if you're on Windows, you'll download this executable. If you're on Mac, you're going to download this and install it. I already did this, so I'm not going to do it again. I can download it. I think we might actually have to. Oh, yeah, that's right. You have to download the whole folder regardless. So you can't download the individual items, I don't think. But that's okay. So you just go here to the top right and you click download. I'll go ahead and download it anyway. Actually, I won't, because it'll probably make this take longer. So I won't download it, but yeah, you see it's prompting me now to save the file. So you just click this at the top right and you click save file, and then it should download. And then you'll install the driver that's appropriate for you. If you're on Windows, you'll run this. And Celeste, like you use Windows, when you ran it, you needed to restart the Arduino program. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So,
or unplug it back in by like.
Okay.
That's all.
Good.
So yeah, that's
Okay.
great. And also
Great.
there is a great information there, like the PDF and instructions. I can help you if you have any more questions, but the plugin and everything works fine.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, I'm done. I'll pass it over to.
Okay, so we're gonna make the bags. I'm gonna show you how it's gonna look after. I'm gonna get closer to you. So this is how it's like finished. Because the breadboard has like a sticker that you actually can glue it to the bottom of the bags. You can actually have everything like a mini bags with the kit. I'm gonna help you to put it together, and this is like the top of the kit, which I didn't glue because I can just open it whenever I want and just don't glue it and be able to see the wires and the kit. Okay, so many of you received the bag with the wooden bags. You're gonna notice that there is 2 pieces of each. You can pick from the big ones, you can pick any. And basically what you wanna do is just put some glue. To show you. Let me know if you see it right, but you're gonna put some glue like on the corners, like this. And then the size that is longest, you're gonna just glue it together and you're gonna hold it a little bit. And you can hold it for 10 seconds and it will stay. And then you're gonna repeat the steps with the left, like the top of the bottom. And same thing. And you're gonna repeat the steps until you put it together. So it's really, really easy. If you want, you can use the brush to just add more glue after, like on the sides. Or if you wanna put more glue in between and use the brush to help you spread the glue, you can. This small container actually helps you because the glue comes really slow. So you can do it however you feel. The nice thing about the bags is that I made these 2 little squares on the sides. So when we actually put in the wires and doing all the stuff with the Arduino kit, you can put the wires through. So that's kind of nice. Any questions? If you like to say anything, or if you want to put it together and you guys want a couple minutes to put it together, or if you have any trouble downloading the files, please let us know. I'm
I
muted.
think I was muted.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let one side dry, and then I will. We can start on the next part.
Yeah, of course, and we have some time, so. Yeah, you're right, Marianne. I said the same thing when Paige told me to. I can explain the part of the box. Yes, the box is the easy part.
I don't know.
But actually, it's the easy part. But then it's like the helpful part to transport the Arduino if you wanna just go ahead and like go with your kit to test the plants. It's nice to have it in a box. So that's why I had the idea to make a box. And also to show the resources at the library. So again, we have a laser cutter, we have other machines, a 3D printer, a carving machine, a vinyl cutter, and we teach the machines and you can learn how to use them. Any other comments or questions? Okay.
Awesome.
How you doing, Paige? You put it together?
I have, I have one
yeah.
corner. Yeah, but it's drying. So, okay, I'll let that hang out. Okay, so I'll share my screen again. Okay. So for the next part, we're going to try to do, so by the way, like my Arduino finished in the background. So I'll get to that in a sec. Well, actually it asks you to open it first. So yeah, we'll do that first. Okay. So I'm going to my downloads folder right now. I'm opening this zip file that it gave me. Yeah, I'm gonna open this. Okay, so what it gave me is basically just this little application. On Windows, it's gonna be an executable, just a .exe. You don't have to install the Arduino application. You just download it and then you run it. So it's very easy. It's called a portable application. It's really convenient. So on my machine, it has to verify the application. It's making sure that it's not malicious or anything like that. And then once that gets verified, it's going to ask me if I want to open it, and I'll say yes. Okay, so you can't see this part of my screen. Sorry about that. Just a second. So while it's opening, I wasn't sharing that part. So okay, now it's open. Okay. So whoops. I don't want to do that. Okay, great. So can you see this, Celeste? The Arduino?
Yes, I can
app?
see it.
Oh, great. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so when it opens, it has a sample sketch. Oh, actually, I'm cheating a little bit because this is actually the code we're going to paste. So it opened by default with the code that I worked on last, which was the sketch, but that's okay. We'll go get it fresh. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to this URL here. I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to paste it in and go. And what this is a text file that contains the code for the moisture sensor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of this fresh. I'll copy it, close this, go back to the Arduino application. And then I'm just going to select all of this stuff. And I'll paste the code that I got from the web page. So it's the same code, it's not any different, but just to show you what you would need to do. So this is going to be the code that we're going to work with. It's got some explanation if you want to read into that later on about how the code is working and what it's doing. But I'm not going to go too into detail unless we get some extra time, because the circuit will take a good bit of time to kind of walk through. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to click this check mark. I think that's the next step. Yeah, okay, yeah. So we're going to click the check at the top left. What this is going to do is it's called compiling, but basically what it's going to do is verify that the code is functional and that it's going to work. And you can see here it says done compiling. So what that means is that it's finished checking the code and making sure that it's going to run fine. There shouldn't be any error with the way it was written. There may be a bug or it may not work, but the code will upload successfully to the Arduino device. So that's good. I don't think there's any bugs in this code though, because we've tested it. So let's hope that there's not any obvious bugs. So the next thing we're going to do, it's step 6 here. We're talking about the driver that I asked you to download earlier. So I didn't need to download it again. It was already set up on my computer. I think Mac users possibly this will just work out of the box. But you know, if it doesn't work for you, definitely paste in the chat and you know, let me know. But the PDF that they included with the driver link should be informative enough to help you out. What we're going to do at this point then for step 7 is we're going to take the Arduino out of its box and we're going to connect it to the computer. I've already plugged my Arduino into the breadboard. Yeah, that box right there that Celeste is holding up. So that box is what you're going to get this device out of that box. I plugged it into the breadboard already, which we'll show you to do shortly, but just for demonstration purposes, it doesn't matter if it's plugged in at this point or not. It's okay. Like what we do need to plug in though, what we do need to plug in though is this USB cable. So there's 2 ends to this. This is the cable obviously that you're probably familiar with that goes into the computer, and then obviously just like your phone, you're just going to plug this end into the Arduino itself. So I'm going to plug it in. And then what I'll do is plug this into my computer. Okay, and what should happen is you'll see an LED light up pretty immediately for your Arduino. If you don't see an LED light up and you haven't already gone through the kit, then also let us know, because it could mean that your Arduino isn't working properly. So we would want to make sure it works correctly. But you should see on yours, if you haven't started, a blinking LED. Mine isn't blinking because it's running the code that we already set up, but yours should be blinking if you just got it out of the box. So once it's connected, we're going to follow these instructions. So we're going to go to the tools drop down at the top. So mine's here. We're going to make sure that we have these options selected. So the board should be the Nano board. The processor should be the ATmega 328P, the old bootloader. Okay, so make sure you're selecting the old bootloader. And then the port, it should auto select the port for you when you plug it in. So mine's plugged in. It's already selected the port for me. USB serial is what it's going to be on a Mac, but it's not going to necessarily be these same numbers, like 1410. Yours might be different. For Windows, it'll look a little bit different too. So once you've selected that information, you'll select this. The easiest way to do some detective work to figure out which port it should be, what you can do is you see how it's giving me this option here. If I click away from this and I unplug the Arduino, if I go back to tools, oh, whoops. With this window selected, if I go back to tools, that port is gone. There's no more USB serial port. That's because it doesn't detect the device anymore. So that's the easiest way to figure out which port to use, I feel. So I plugged it back in again, going to tools here. So now it's selected the port. So I can be pretty certain that that's the correct port to use. Okay, now that we've selected that, what we can do is click the arrow button, this arrow button here at the top left, next to the check that you clicked earlier. So verify and upload. So this is going to upload the code to the device. So before we're building the circuit, we're just uploading the code.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah. You could build the circuit first if you wanted to. It wouldn't matter. But I just chose to show how to upload the code first, because once we upload it, we don't have to use the computer any longer. We just need to build the circuit. So I wanted to get the computer part out of the way. So I'm going to click upload. It's going to compile. And then it should upload the sketch. You should see the Arduino blink at this point. The blinking at this point is indicating that it's communicating with the device. Okay, so mine says done uploading. So it was successful. The code uploaded just fine, and it didn't have any problems. So that's good. Okay, so yeah, done uploading, and we're ready to assemble the kit. So before we do anything else with the actual circuit, one thing to keep in mind: unplug your Arduino. If you accidentally connect short circuit, like power to ground, or you connect, you short circuit a particular component or something like that, we can, I think we have enough extras, right, Celeste, that we can help them replace that. But if you do, you know, it might break. So I always, you know, I unplug before I do any like connections or anything like that.
That's a great tip, because I even didn't know that. So
yeah, make sure to remove the power. Yeah.
So we have few left. I don't know if they were actually picked up today. But yes, just unplug everything. And if you want to tell us how you're doing, just to make sure that we know, just going private, like if we're going too fast, or like you need more time, or if you have any questions.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm going to go to the next part of PDF here. So first, I guess I want to help describe this breadboard, but I think this diagram that Celeste has in the document is like a really good view of the breadboard, and it explains the way it's laid out. So you can think of the breadboard as basically a bunch of wires underneath all of these holes, but there's only so many wires, and they're laid out in a certain way. So the green here indicates a wire, like you can think of it as a wire. Yeah. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah. So you can think of the green as a wire, okay? So on the sides of the breadboard, so in Celeste's kind of like image, it was the top. Yeah, it's the top and the bottom of the breadboard. Those are all connected across. So if I plug in something into this top socket here, that's connected to this top socket here. Yeah, so that's, oh, and I'll match hers actually, yeah. So these would be connected, but this socket is not connected to this socket, so the one right below it. Sorry if you're have some difficult sight, I'll try my best. So this socket is not connected to the one below it. Those are not connected, but it is connected to the one next to it. That's the case for this top part, as I'm showing it. If we move down to the next group of sockets, and these are the only two types of connections, so you know, this is it. These are all connected across now, or across, I should say, vertically. So this is a vertical group of connections. These are all connected together, these sockets, okay? These are all connected together. This next, I guess it would be a column. So this column is a group of connections. They are not connected side to side. Not connected side to side at all. So just this column is connected, okay, but not side to side. So just like this green here. That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's all you need to know about the breadboard. Okay, so what we're going to do now that we know how the breadboard's laid out, we're going to actually plug the Arduino into the breadboard. So the way to do that, you'll want to be somewhat careful. I'm not going to do it again but Celeste is going to do it because hers is disconnected right now. Yeah, yes. Great. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so Celeste, if you just want to go ahead and do it. And then,
okay, so the instruction says that we kind of want to follow, see how the breadboard has letters and numbers, like A, B, C. So we're going to follow those numbers and letters to actually get where we need to. So I guess we're going to use the top left of the Arduino kit as point of reference. And then we use the 13 hole 4. You can use well, not any hole, but pretty much you can maybe move a little bit on top or a little bit to the bottom. We put it in that position because it's gonna be easy later on to do the rest of the kit. And also we put it in that position because we wanted, or I wanted to have the USB kind of resting a little bit on the breadboard so it's not hanging after. So that's the position that we choose. But again, if you choose to do something different, just make sure that you keep in mind the numbers or the coordinates that you're using. It makes sense? All right, so I'm gonna do D4. So the first pin on the left top of the Arduino is the one that I'm gonna make sure.
Yeah, and the left top is next to the USB.
Yes. Yes, correct. And then once you put it, you're gonna try to press slowly and together. Like try to do it at the same time and not like just the top or the bottom. See how I can maybe break it like that. So make sure that you put it as like together.
If you bend a pin, it's totally okay. You can just bend it back. It's not a big deal, but you just don't want to break it off. If you break a pin off, it's a little harder to fix, but not the end of the world. But yeah, just it does definitely take, I mean, Celeste, you'd agree, right? It takes a little bit of a push to get it actually in there. So don't worry about like.
Yeah, it feels like you're gonna break it, but you don't break it. Once it gets in, then it's gonna be hard to take it off. So it's gonna look like that and see how you can see the letters, and I put it in D, and then you can see the numbers. Oh, you can see too much of the numbers, but yes.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, great. Awesome. So now we're on step 2 of building the sensor. So we're going to start creating the LED circuit at this point. So we have these really great pictures that Celeste took, thankfully, which means hopefully you can see via the pictures how we're making these connections. So that Celeste and I will both be going along with this. So don't, fret too much.
Paige, would you mind to maybe zoom in a little bit more on the instructions?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
So now you guys gonna be using the second bag that I provided with the jumping cables. Yep. And the LED light and the resistor. And if you need more information about, for example, the resistor or about the Arduino or about the breadboard, on the first pages of the instructions, there is some kind of reference and another instructions or reference to look at later on.
Definitely.
Awesome. Okay. All right. What we do next?
Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit faster and a little bit less detailed than the instructions do, just because we try to be really detailed in the instructions, but I'll just be showing it. So hopefully that is enough. But basically, if you want, more detail, definitely read the instructions carefully for each of these steps. But I'll try to just show what I'm doing. So hopefully it's clear. So we're going to grab a cable with 2 leads. Okay, so 2 leads on either end. So they look like that, right? So these are called leads, and these were what will be pushing into the sockets of the breadboard. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to connect the 1 lead to pin D10. So if you look at the Arduino, by the way, when I'm saying like pin D10, I don't know if you can really see that here, but each of these pins is labeled. It has a little label on it. If you scroll up in the instructions too, there's actually a very nice diagram of all of these pins. So all of these pins that get referenced. So I'm referring to D10 right now. So that's this pin right here. So if you look at the top right, that's 1, 2, 3 down. So the third pin down.
Yeah.
So D10. So I'm going to plug a lead into the same row that D10 is on. So I'm going to plug that in.
And Paige, it's okay to just leave a hole in between, or I can put it right next to, correct?
You can do either one, yeah. Either will work just fine. You can leave some space, or you can not. But the connection will be fine regardless, yeah. I choose to use a little bit of space, as you can see in this picture here.
Yes.
So I leave a little bit of space.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
remember, on the breadboard, the connections run
Right.
inside the breadboard, they run across. So
Yes.
it's fine to do it like that.
Yes, okay. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick an empty row on the breadboard, okay, away from the Arduino Nano. So we don't want to be connected to the Arduino Nano with the other end of the wire, okay? It can be anywhere, but we chose in the instructions slot F27.
Yes.
So that's, you know, you can use that, but you don't have to. So I'm gonna use that now. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug into slot F27, and that looks like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next lead. So this time, what we're grabbing out of our kit is the resistor. So I'm gonna go ahead and find the resistor in my kit.
Yeah, you guys probably on the resistor gonna have some kind of like paper or glue that I left safety, so you can, so the back didn't break and it didn't bend. You can just remove it.
Yep. Yeah, and resistors, you know, they also have leads. So they just have 2 leads. I've bent mine. The reason I bent it is so that it's easier to put it into the breadboard this way. And what I'm trying to do is make enough space so that it can go in one slot and then another slot on the breadboard. So you can see in the image that the resistor is bent there as well. So you'll do it like this. So what we're going to do is connect the resistor to the lead that we just added to this empty row on the breadboard. So what we need to do is add one lead to a row that connects it to this jumper wire, this yellow cable. So what we did is we used H27, but that just means that you need to add it to the same row as this yellow wire. And then what you need to do is then insert the other end of the resistor into another empty row. So I'm going to use H27 and H25. Actually, I'm going to move mine a little bit and give myself some more space. You're welcome to do that too. You can move it down a row or up a row. Just make sure if you space things out more, space things across rows.
I'm gonna try to show mine how it looks.
Oh, nice. Yeah, looks very good.
So right, I use the same space, but I wish I could have used, I could have used more space, like maybe instead of H25 to like 23 or 24.
Oh wait, is your resistor plugged in on the same row?
So it's in between, it's in between H27 and H25.
H25. Oh, great. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then your lead is plugged into F27.
Yes. It is.
Oh, I couldn't see.
It is. It's like it's just kind of bent.
Yeah, yeah, it's bent. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that looks good.
It's hard to see what it is.
Yeah, it's very hard to. Sorry, everyone, that it's so hard to see.
I think it's like so mini.
Yeah, dealing with very small stuff. But if you follow the socket instructions, I think both of, yeah, you should be just fine. Shouldn't have a problem. All right, so I've got mine plugged in as well. So Now what we're going to do is we're going to connect the resistor to the LED that we included in the kit. So I'm going to take out the LED. There's 2 LEDs in the kit.
Yeah, so everyone received 2 just in case there was like a issue or problem or someone, it would have been burned or something broke.
Yes.
So you guys have received 2 of them, but we only gonna be using 1.
Okay, the LED is a little bit tricky. The LED is special because the way that it's oriented, the way that you connect it actually matters. The resistor, it does not matter. The jumper wire, the yellow jumper wire, it doesn't matter which way you connect it. The LED does matter. When you pull it out of your kit, as Celeste was just demonstrating, you'll notice that one of the legs is longer than the other leg. Okay, one of the legs is longer. So we want to connect the long leg. The long leg needs to connect back to the Arduino through the resistor. So you can think of it like that. So it needs to see the resistor and then the long leg. So we're going to connect the long leg to the resistor on the same row. So in my case, I'm going to use I-26, but it doesn't particularly matter. In this kit, I guess I'll just use the same. Yeah, I'll use the same slot as in the instructions. So the J.
So in my case will be like J25, correct?
Yeah, if you're doing by the kit, yeah, or by the instructions, yeah. So I connected my longer leg. What I do is I actually just bend the longer leg so it's the same length as the shorter leg, like height-wise. So it's, you can kind of see what I do here. Yeah. So see this? It just helps me see which one is the longer leg more clearly. So the long leg should be connected to the resistor. So now what we're going to do is we're going to connect the LED back to the Arduino now. So we made, every circuit every circuit is a loop. You can't have a circuit if it's not a loop. You have to make this loop for there to be an electrical current, functional electrical current. So I'm going to grab another lead. This should also have, 2 leads on either end and a lead on either end. So just like the one we grabbed before. What I'm going to do is connect the LED, the leg we haven't exposed yet or haven't used. So this is the short leg, so to speak. We're going to connect that to the ground pin. Okay, so the ground pin is also labeled on the Arduino. If we scroll back up to our diagram, all the way back up here. Okay, that's this pin right here, so ground. So 1, 2, 3, 4 from the bottom on the right side. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I will plug that in there. Okay, and I'll show what I have going on. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah, so you can see, this is plugged from the LED, which is here, to ground. So that's what makes our loop. So we need the full loop for the circuit to work successfully. Okay, so going back down to our instructions. Also, I forgot to mention, we included a little resistor color code chart. So if you can see well enough up that close, it's a little bit difficult to see. I mean, you wouldn't even be able to see it on the camera. Oh, actually you can. You can kind of see these little bands of color. If you were to read each of those individually, you would see that this is a 220 ohm resistor. So that's the kind of resistor we need to use if we're connecting an LED, a red LED in particular, for this voltage that we're providing it. Okay, so that's just a side note. But
And there
there's only
is
one
also
resistor in the bag. So
different types of resistors. Like this one was a 220, right?
Yep, 220. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they even show in the diagram here 220 ohm resistor actually. So we're using the same as this diagram, so that's good. Okay, so we're done with one of the circuits. So this is one circuit. This is the LED circuit. So this is the circuit that will power our LED and enable us to turn it on and off. So we're done with that part of the circuit. Now we go into the sensor circuit. This circuit is much easier to put together. So if you're following along still, that's great. That part was the harder part of the circuit. The rest is not so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to make the actual sensor now. I've taken the sensor out of the kit. There's multiple parts to the sensor that we'll have to work with.
This is
I'm
the sensor.
getting mine out. Yeah. Yep. Okay, great. So this is just a specially like designed resistor, but this is basically like and it just checked it. Well, this doesn't do anything. There's no circuit board on here. There's nothing. All it is a piece of like metal film embedded in like a it's like a kind of like silicon material, I think, or like a petroleum based material. But yeah, it's just basically a resistor, and it, you know, there's a resistance between a contact point here and a contact point here, especially with water or moisture or dirt. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect this to the actual sensor part of the system. So this is the sensor. This is actually a little tiny chip that's going to read the resistance or the voltage across this little resistor probe. So what we need to do is connect these two things first. So what I'm going to do is they provided two conjoined leads here, except these aren't leads, they're actually sockets. So there's two sockets on each end, okay, that came with the sensor. That's how you're going to connect the sensor to the probe. So on this side of the sensor, there's these two little leads at the bottom. You can connect these either way you want, but just don't crisscross. So you'll see what I mean. So mine are red and brown. Red and brown. So I'm going to connect the red to one lead like this. Okay. So I'm connecting the red. And now I'll connect the brown. So now mine are both plugged in. And what I need to do is I just need to make sure, actually, I think you could crisscross them. Never mind. Yeah, you could totally crisscross them. It doesn't matter. Do whatever you want.
Question. You know how they have like these little holes there?
Yeah.
That has to be in any direction specific, like a specific direction?
No, oh, not at all. Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, you can put that in any orientation that you want. You
Yes,
can put it
perfect.
facing up or facing down. You might need to fiddle with it a little bit. It's kind of, for me at least, it's kind of loose. It's not a super tight connection. So just be careful. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything if it comes unplugged. It's totally fine. But it's certainly a little bit annoying when it does kind of unplug because your sensor will stop working. So yeah, I'm trying to get mine. Okay, mine are somewhat stable now. So you can see here, I've connected the two sides. You can crisscross them, it doesn't matter. Okay. All right, so now that we're done with that aspect of it, what we need to do is connect the sensor to the Arduino itself. So we need to grab the group of 3 conjoined jumper cables that Celeste provided. So Celeste, when she made these kits, made sure to include these 3 jumper cables that are connected together. So you don't have to like worry about them falling apart. They should already be connected. You can split them up if you want to, but it's just convenient because there's no reason for them to be apart. They all go together, and they'll be different colors. Okay. So what we're going to do is first connect the lead. Well, actually, in the instructions I have you connect a lead and then a socket, and then a lead and then a socket. So let's do that. So what it says here is to connect the lead end of a jumper. So these, the metal ends, the exposed metal ends, and pick any one you want. It doesn't matter. So just remember the color that you chose for that lead.
Yeah.
So this is a purple lead. And I realize we're running out of time, so I'll try to speed this up. So select a purple lead or whatever you want and plug that into the pin labeled A6 on your Arduino. So just remember to reference that diagram that's in the PDF. So I'm plugging into A6 like this. Remember, you can use the whole row. You don't have to use the one closest to it. The whole row is connected to that pin A6.
Okay, and I'm showing it here right now. Right.
Now you'll, oh, perfect. Yeah, that's great. Now you'll connect the socket, okay, to the pin A0 on the sensor circuit board. So the socket should be connected to A0 on the circuit board.
Which is the first one to the left.
Yeah, left to right, it's the first one. Yeah. Okay, so now you're going to take another lead and you're going to plug it into the pin labeled 5V. So that stands for 5 volts. These other pins, by the way, stand for analog 0 and analog 6. So these are analog pins because we're taking an analog sensor reading. So we're going to plug into 5V. And then the same thing, we're going to take the socketed end of that lead. And we're going to plug into the VCC pin on the sensor circuit board. So that's all the way to the far right, if you were following the orientation that Celeste gave earlier. Okay, so far mine looks like this. So I have 2 leads on either end. And then I have 2 leads plugged into the Arduino rows here. Okay. Lastly, we're going to plug a lead into the ground pin on the Nano. So if you plugged all these, and that's on the other side of the Arduino. That's on the side, all these leads should be on the same side. And if you did this following our kind of instructions, you'll have 3 leads plugged in right next to each other with a socket in between each. So you should have exactly 1 socket width of spacing between. And again, sorry, we're going right up against time. Okay, now that you've plugged in your ground lead, we're going to plug in the ground socket. So the ground socket is going to go into the ground pin on the sensor board. And that goes right next to the VCC socket. So that one's a little harder to plug in because it's next to the other one. I guess I should have said to plug in the ground one first, but that's okay. All right. So now we have these 3 plugged into the Arduino, and we have these 3 plugged into the sensor. Okay, we're not going to use the other pin on the sensor board, D0, labeled D0. We're not going to use that. We're not going to use that. Okay. So thankfully, we hit time because we're done. We're done with the kit. All we need to do now is plug it in. So I'm going to plug mine in. And basically after a second or two, maybe even shorter, you should see your LED light turn on. So your LED light should be turned on. It should be illuminated. And what you can do is you now need to test for moisture. So basically, if actually, Celeste, do you want to explain the moisture part? Oh, Celeste, can you hear me? Oh, that's okay. Maybe, or well, basically, if the soil is like has enough moisture, then the LED will turn off. But if the soil is dry, then the LED will stay on. So basically, the LED is like warning you that you need to water your plant.
Hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Hopefully, I explained it pretty well.
Yes, you did.
Okay, great.
Doing. I mean, we have 2 people here and 2 in Facebook. You guys did follow along, or?
Yeah, hopefully we didn't move too quickly. I just realized we were running out of time.
Yeah, no, I mean, we pretty much did everything. We did everything.
One thing you can do that is a little bit gross, but I do it to test it. So the LED is on right now. You can see it's saying that the air is dry. I mean, it works in the air or anything. And then what you can do to quickly test is you can just put it in your mouth. And, you know, your mouth obviously has saliva. So
and then it will turn off. Yeah.
Yeah, so the LED turns off because your mouth has enough moisture. So for soil, what you can do is going back to the code, if you find that it's not turning off at a certain point, like if it's turning off once the soil is too wet, what you can do is adjust this value here, dryness threshold. So basically the most dry is going to be 1000. And the most wet or the least dry will be 0. So the idea being that we set this to 800, being that if it got to that point, like if it got close to 1000, that's too dry, and we want to water the soil. So instead, what you could do is set this even lower if you think that's too dry. Or you could set it higher if you think that's still too moist for your soil. So, and then that's pretty much it. All you need to do now is put this into your box. So you can on the bottom of the breadboard. I'm gonna unplug my kit right now, but on the bottom of the breadboard is the sticker that Celeste was talking about. You can just peel this off, and then that's actually like.
And then put it in the box.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do that now actually.
Nice.
Okay, great.
I just want to share that there is some other links there for more resources, more instructions, and we have a lot of books at the library as well if you want to maybe learn more.
Yeah, thanks for organizing this, Celeste.
Oh, thanks for helping me.
And thanks everyone for joining.
Okay, any questions? Marianne, you got it? Okay, so I guess we can finish.
Oh, Michelle.
Saying thanks.
Wait, I think Michelle, you had a question.
Oh, okay, yes, let me see.
Hi.
Hi.
I put mine together, and so sorry, I lost internet for a minute, so I didn't see your very end. So I get a red and a green light, but when I stick it inside like a plant, like even a plant I just watered, it just stays red and green. So I don't know if that's, I don't know if I'm supposed to stick it in for longer or I'm not really sure.
should be pretty immediate. So one thing you can try, I mean, the mouth test is pretty good because obviously that's like a quick surface that, and I mean, if you have saliva, like then it should definitely turn off. If it doesn't, then yeah, I would recommend trying to, here, I'll share my screen again. I would recommend, yeah, adjusting this threshold and re-uploading the code. So you can, you could drop the threshold, or no, yeah, you would drop the threshold, yeah, and try that and see if it turns off the light. But make sure otherwise, make sure that all of the leads are plugged in correctly on the sensor board. If you have a lead on here unplugged correctly, the LED will always be on. So that might be another part of it.
I just want to share really quick, and for anyone that maybe see us later on, if you didn't put it together, or if you have any questions, you can bring it to the library and I can help you to put it together as well.
Hopefully that helps,
Do you
Michelle, but
have-
good luck.
Yeah, do you have, like, can you email or something that on how you change the threshold? I'm not on the computer right now, so I'm not sure if I'll remember like where that is to change the threshold, but yeah, I don't know. I've tried it in a couple plants, and is the LED, and actually another question. So I get the red and the green light. The red light is on the Arduino, and then the green light is on that other connector piece. So is the LED that we stuck in there between like 22 and 25, is that supposed to light up at all or no? Because that doesn't light up.
The trio.
Oh, yeah, that should light up. So that is probably your problem. Yeah, so
okay.
Yeah, the green light actually you can ignore. That is that's something on the sensor circuit board that is a different part of the circuit. Yeah, so we're interested in particular in the red light. Yeah, so your red light should be lighting up. In fact, as soon as you plug it in, if the sensor is dry. So as long as this is dry, this red light should be on.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely on, but that little LED light that we stuck in there doesn't light up on. I have two kits, me and my husband each did one, but the LED doesn't light up in either. So I don't know.
You mean this LED, if you can see the camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be on. That should be on the whole time. So what you can try doing is tracing back the connections to the LED and make sure that the ground is connected. You might have flipped, is it possible that you flip the LED the other way around? Like
I thought about that, but no, the long one is in 25 for both. Yeah.
Okay, the long side is on 25.
J
Okay.
25. Because we didn't venture off. We followed exactly what you said. Sure. all the like you guys are like, we did this one. I'm like, well, that's the one I'm doing. So I don't know.
Were you successful uploading the code?
Yeah, my husband did that part. So I mean, I can delete and redo the code, but does that have anything to do with this LED light? Because that's not lighting up at all.
Yeah, the code is what controls the LED light.
Oh, okay.
That's what turns the LED that we plugged in on and off when it's dry or wet.
Okay.
And the code also will instruct you about the threshold. So if you're curious about that, you can just take a look at the code. I have comments in there explaining like what the threshold does. So.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I'll try deleting and redoing the code. Maybe that's number one then, because I think everything else was plugged into exactly the ones that you guys said. So, yeah, maybe we'll try that and see what happens.
And you're sure that you have pin D13 on the Arduino plugged into D4? Because if you follow those instructions exactly, then it has to be the Arduino has to be in the right place vertically. So make sure.
And which one were you saying?
So pin,
D13.
yeah, the top left, D13 must be plugged into D4 if you follow those instructions.
I mean, I don't know. I think if I'm looking at if I think it is, do you guys have an email and maybe I can send you a picture so that you can see?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
can. Yeah.
All right, because that might be, maybe there's like one thing that we plugged in wrong. I don't know, but
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't know. I'm definitely
Totally easy to do. Easy, off by one is really easy in these kinds of things. But yeah, definitely send an email our way, and
So that's my email. I can help you try to resolve the issue, and if I can send it to Paige. I'm also gonna be at the library tomorrow and all week. So if you wanna also come in and bring it, I can help you in person.
Okay, I'll check my work schedule, but I'll also email you a picture and you can maybe trouble. That might be easy.
Yes.
Hopefully,
Okay.
hopefully it's just move that one there and that's it.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you
thank
so much,
you.
everyone.
Come on, let's go. Somebody push the button.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.